Two main parties are rotten. They are no longer fit for purpose.
Robert Jenrick is not my problem anymore. He's Nigel Farage's problem now.
A political betrayal worthy of a TV drama and a pivotal moment for the right of British politics. But today, the latest Tory defector said he was right to leave the party.
The party hadn't changed. The people who'd made those mistakes were still sat around the shadow cabinet table. The arsonists were still in control of the party. And that this was not a party that was capable of even understanding what it had got wrong.
Robert Jenrick says he's uniting the right, but his former boss says her party is stronger since he left.
The people who were causing problems in the Conservative Party are leaving. They are doing my spring cleaning for me. Nigel Farage is doing my spring cleaning for me, and I'm happy about that.
Robert Jenrick is one of more than 20 Tory politicians who have defected to the Reform Party. They include Lee Anderson, who became the first to break ranks, becoming Reform's first ever MP in 2024. Former Culture Secretary Nadine Dorries was another high-profile defector in 2025. And just a few days ago, the former Chancellor Nadine Zahawi changed sides in what was billed as Reform's biggest political gain yet. Now Robert Jenrick has also jumped ship, with Nigel Farage saying he won't be the last. While the two men were all smiles yesterday, Mr Jenrick hasn't always been so complimentary. This is what he said last year.
Nigel Farage can't even run a five-a-side team, so he's not going to be able to run a country.
But all the chaos, with Nigel Farage saying he won't be the last. While the two men were all smiles yesterday, Mr Jenrick hasn't always been so complimentary. This is what he said last year.
Nigel Farage can't even run a five-a-side team, so he's not going to be able to run a country.
But all the chaos on the right could be a gift for Labour.
So, as promised, let's return to that. Breaking news, President Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, has announced the launch of Phase 2 of the plan to end the conflict in Gaza. Let's go straight to our correspondent in Jerusalem, John Donaldson. And John, tell us more.
Well, we've been waiting for this, Matthew. Phase 1, of course, was the release of the remaining hostages, dead and alive, in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. That was some 3 months ago that we had the ceasefire come into force. Phase 2 is meant to involve the establishment of a technocratic government in Gaza, and we've had the names of the individuals who will form that government. They are members of Palestinian society from within Gaza. It's then, and this is where I think we might have some problems, meant to involve the full demilitarization of Gaza, and that includes Hamas disarming, something they have so far not shown willing to do, and also it's meant to involve the withdrawal of Israeli troops, something Israel has not really said it's committed to either. It might pull back, but it's certainly not willing to give up territory which it has fully captured within Gaza.
And there was a clear warning midway through that statement from Steve Witkoff, where he says the US expects Hamas to comply fully with its obligations, not just the return of that final deceased hostage, but also the demilitarization, the disarmament of that group. And that is a huge hurdle, isn't it?
It is, because they've said they're not willing to do that. They have said they are willing to not take part in this technocratic government, but they haven't said they're willing to disarm, and what Israel and the United States...
After days of intense pressure, Craig Guilford didn't turn up in person to say he was stepping down, instead leaving it to the man who could have sacked him, but didn't, to announce the Chief Constable's departure, but not resignation.
The Chief Constable, Craig Guilford, has today retired from West Midlands Police with immediate effect. In doing so, he has acted with honour and in the best interests of West Midlands Police and our region.
It is, after all, the same Chief Constable who'd lost the confidence of the Home Secretary.
Where's the accountability in retirement, Mr Foster? Why isn't the Chief Constable here?
Instead, Craig Guilford put out a statement. I have come to the conclusion that the political and media frenzy around myself and my position has become detrimental to all the great work undertaken by my officers and staff in serving communities across the West Midlands. But a damning report found his officers used exaggerated and untrue intelligence to justify banning fans of Maccabi Tel Aviv from a match at Aston Villa last November, overstating the threat they posed while underplaying the risk to Jewish fans and not consulting the local Jewish community.
There was a very strong feeling of resentment, disappointment, frustration and anger. As he is responsible for the whole of the police, it's his role that he will have to go because his position is not tenable anymore.
But Aston Villa's local MP, who supported the ban, criticised the pressure put on the Chief Constable.
What we have all witnessed is one of the greatest injustice of our modern times, a Chief Constable thrown under the bus for doing his job.
But Craig Guilford had to apologise twice for misleading MPs.
You've used AI, or West Midlands may have used AI on this particular occasion. We don't do that. We don't use the AI.
AI had in fact been used to generate incorrect information.
We need to move beyond Mr Guildford. We need to go to the heart of the problem. And the problem is the culture within the West Midlands Police and how at the senior levels, below the Chief Constable, it's been making its decisions. That now needs addressing.
And I may do that for Greenland too. I may put a tariff on countries if they don't go along with Greenland, because we need Greenland for national security. So I may do that. I'll give you a little, I'll take you out of that. In fact, that'll end up being the story. But actually, this is a much bigger story because we're reducing healthcare by numbers that you haven't seen.
Venezuela's opposition leader really did gift Donald Trump her Nobel Peace Prize, and he accepted it. So how did we get to a place where Nobel Prizes are being used as political chess pieces? This week, Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado handed President Donald Trump her Nobel Peace Prize medal during a private White House meeting, praising him as the heir of Washington and thanking him for supporting Venezuela's fight for democracy. Trump later called it a great honor, posting that she had presented him with her Nobel for the work he's done. There's just one problem. The Norwegian Nobel Committee stepped in fast, reminding the world that Nobel Prizes cannot be shared, transferred, or regifted ever. The medal can change hands, but the title, that stays put. This comes as the U.S. deepens its involvement in Venezuela following the capture of longtime dictator Nicolas Maduro, while still quietly working with his former deputy to stabilize the country and protect oil interests. Machado, once politically isolated and in hiding, is suddenly back on the global stage, and Trump, who has openly lobbied for a Nobel before, didn't exactly say no. So the result? A symbolic gesture, a diplomatic headache, and
The son of the last Shah of Iran, Reza Pahlavi, has been saying the current Iranian regime will fall, insisting it is close to collapse. Speaking at a news conference in Washington, D.C., he vowed to return to his home country.
After invading 5 neighboring countries and sowing chaos across the region, this regime has invaded Iran itself, using foreign terrorists, Hezbollah fighters, Iraqi militias, and other mercenaries to slaughter the Iranian people. This is no longer mere repression. This is foreign occupation wearing clerical robes. Just as Saddam Hussein drowned the marshes in blood and Bashar al-Assad turned barrel bombs on his own children, Ali Khamenei and his thugs have committed mass crimes against the Iranian people and against all of humanity. And just like those other tyrannies, the Islamic Republic will fall. As my compatriots call on me for leadership, I reaffirm my lifelong pledge by stepping in to lead the movement that will take back our country from the anti-Iranian hostile force that occupies it and kills its children. I will return to Iran.
This is a pivotal visit, the first Canadian Prime Minister to visit China since 2017. And this is, of course, after years of tense relations. And Canada made it quite explicitly about finding new opportunities with China, which is Canada's second largest trading partner. And Ottawa framed this visit as part of Canada's plan to double non-U.S. exports in the next decade. But China has leverage here. Imports from Canada has been falling, and China bought fewer goods from Canada last year for the first time since 2020. But on top of all the political tensions we've seen between the two countries, there are economic ones as well. As you'll recall, Ottawa imposed 100% tariffs on Chinese EVs in 2024, and Beijing retaliated with 100% tariffs on Canadian canola as well, among other goods. But now both sides are acknowledging these are changing times. Mark Carney says he's ready to build new partnerships with China to prepare for a new world order, while China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has described this visit as a turning point.
China is ready to strengthen communication, enhance mutual trust, eliminate interference, and deepen cooperation with Canada, ensuring that bilateral relations move forward on a steady and sound track in solid strides under the new circumstances.
So we're
The Darlington nurses had argued that their employer had neglected their rights as women to have a protected single-sex space, that the NHS Trust had instead prioritised unfairly the rights of their trans colleague, Rose Henderson. In that, the tribunal found decisively in their favour.
Today, the tribunal has confirmed what we have said from the beginning, that requiring women to undress in front of men is not equality, it is a violation of our dignity. This judgment recognises the intolerable and degrading situations women have been placed in.
In his judgment, the tribunal judge, Seamus Sweeney, said that by requiring the claimants to share a changing room with a biological male trans woman, the Trust engaged in unwanted conduct related to sex and gender reassignment, which had the effect of violating the dignity of the claimants and creating for the claimants a hostile, humiliating and degrading environment. That by not taking seriously and declining to address the claimants' concerns, the Trust's actions had the effect of creating for the claimants a hostile and intimidating environment, and that the complaints of indirect sex discrimination are well-founded and succeed. That last point a reference in part to the fact that the nurses had been told they could find alternative spaces to change in, while Rose Henderson was given no such advice. The tribunal also found that an HR manager's comments on the need for education about trans employees' rights highlighted to the nurses that they weren't being taken seriously, reinforcing a feeling that they were seen as transphobic.
It was never about trans-identifying individuals. That was never the issue. These women were women that were saying men are men, women are women, and we want to be able to change in safe, single-sex spaces.
Some of the nurses said Henderson, seen here in the black and white dress, whom the tribunal heard was sexually active and had a female partner, had behaved in a harassing manner. The tribunal dismissed those claims, and Rose Henderson testified that the nurses' decision to go to the media led to personal and upsetting coverage.
This is a really concerning place that we're getting to when we're really going after individual people at work. And, it's no surprise that groups like Christian Legal Centre with their evangelical outlook are behind this. We're saying that following the Supreme Court judgment, there is a huge lack of clarity about how we can safely include trans people in spaces. And we're calling on the government to fix this mess and introduce legislation that allows trans people to use facilities in line with their gender as they have done so for many, many years.
The Supreme Court ruled in April last year that with relation to the Equality Act, sex was to be defined as biological sex at birth. But how that should be interpreted in a variety of settings has yet to be fully fleshed out. The government's currently considering a draft code of practice. Last month, another nurse, Sandy Peggy, partially won her claim against the Fife Health Board. She too had refused to change in the same facilities as a transgender doctor. Today's ruling adopts the Supreme Court language both for the Equality Act and for workplace regulations, finding County Durham and Darlington NHS Foundation Trust in breach of the law. The Trust itself saying for the Equality Act and for workplace regulations, finding County Durham and Darlington NHS Foundation Trust in breach of the law. Both for the Equality Act and for workplace regulations, finding County Durham and Darlington NHS Foundation Trust in breach of the law. The Trust itself saying it was taking time to review the judgment carefully and would comment further once it had considered it in full.
Harry Fawcett will